reason I like to come out and do these kind of presentations is to educate people on the trans community. There's a lot of misconceptions about the trans community, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of people that just have never been exposed to it or don't, or only know what they see maybe on TV or hear some crazy thing in the news. For me, in case you don't all know, I am trans, what they call female to male. The word itself, transgender, is a cross-gender. And it's composed, it's sort of an umbrella term, and it's composed of a whole bunch of people identifying in different ways. So some of the categories are like drag king and drag queen. Now I'm going to assume everybody in this room knows these definitions here of those things. We have cross-dressers and transvestites, and this causes a lot of confusion. So basically a cross-dresser is usually a heterosexual male who feels the need to dress in women's clothing. Usually very private, very secret, very embarrassed by it, doesn't really understand why he needs to do it, and hides it usually from everybody that is close to him. And that person could be doing it just for comfort, it just makes him feel better emotionally. He could be somebody who has a deeper transgender category, but is afraid to kind of really look at it. It could be any of those things. It's not done for sexual perversion, it's not done for sexual gratification. It actually makes them feel more comfortable in their own skin. A transvestite is very similar, except that they're more open about it. And they usually have a name for the person when they dress female, and they usually have a name. So maybe they're Bob at the garage all week, and on Friday they're Roberta, and they get dressed up, they like to go out, they socialize, they usually have a lot of friends that they dress up with and go out. So they're more open about it and more social. Androgynous is another term, and that's somebody who's kind of in the middle. We have all done it, I've done it, you're walking down the street and you see somebody and you go, is that a boy or girl? You know. That's somebody who's androgynous. That's where they want to be. They don't really want to be identified as either male or female, but just somewhere like a mix of both in the middle. Some people put intersex in this mix. The intersex people don't really like to identify with the transgender community. Intersex is somebody who was born with ambiguous genitalia, or probably an internal organ of the opposite sex of what they've been given at birth. And the newest kind of term is called genderqueer, and it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around this one, have to be honest. So somebody who's genderqueer really wants their gender to be fluid. They don't want to be stuck into this box or that box, you know. You can only have one choice, M or F. They're fluid with their gender. And some days they might express femaleness more, and this could be for a male or a female. You know, they express a female side, and maybe a day or two later they express their male side. And they like to dress, and sometimes they'll be high femme, and sometimes they'll be real butch for a girl, and with the guy they might want to dress up, or a couple of days later be Mr. Macho. So they're fluid in their gender expression and how they identify. And the last on the list, which is mostly what I talk about, is somebody who's identified as transsexual. A transsexual person is somebody who knows that they were absolutely born in the wrong body. That's the easiest way to explain it. Don't know what causes it. My guess, and the theory I like the best, is that somewhere when the fetus is being formed, your body gets a bath of testosterone or estrogen, and then your body starts to change physically into that sex. 6 weeks after that happens, the brain gets a bath of a hormone. And normally it would be the same hormone that the body got. But there's a glitch somewhere they think that might happen, and so the brain would get the bath of the opposite. So a female body, but it got a bath of testosterone in the brain, so it has a male brain, or a female brain for the opposite. That makes the most sense to me, because as long as I've known myself, which is all my life, I know that I'm male. I was born male as far as I'm concerned. I've been male all my life. You'll hear people say, oh, I transitioned from female to male. For me, personally, I didn't transition. I've always been male. But I had a female body, and a female upbringing, and female everything, because that's what the people around me saw, and that's what box I was forced into. And a lot of people feel this way. I mean, my brain's always been male. That's who I am. That's what it'll always be. Having to transition gives me the opportunity to make my body match the brain in who I really am. Because who we really are is not here. It's up here. We say gender's between the ears and sex is between the legs. So, what is gender? Can somebody define gender for me? Here's about yourself individually, who I am, how I identify, whether male or female, or somewhere in the middle. And the biggest problem that we've had in our world is that we have put male and female and gender identity into two little boxes. And that's not the reality. I mean, so you got to look at gender as like a timeline. There's female here, male here. Now, how many people are all the way this way or all the way this way? Nobody. I mean, there isn't anybody at the extreme. Every guy in this room, whether you like it or not, you have estrogen in your body. And every woman in this room has testosterone. We all have a mix. Do we know guys that are way on the macho masculine side? Absolutely. Do we know women who are way on the feminine side? And we know a lot of people that are all along the path. Some women are more masculine than others. Some women, you know, so, and some men are more feminine. So the biggest problem I found, even within the LGBT community, is that distinction between gender identity and sexual orientation, believe it or not. So what is sexual orientation? Somebody want to get squishy with, as my friend Travis always says. So sexual identity is about something outside yourself. It's about someone other than yourself that you're attracted to, okay? Whether you're attracted to a man or a woman or both or other things, those are your sexual identities, okay? And it's not the same as your gender identity. So a person has a gender identity and a sexual orientation identity, okay? So we all understand that? So somebody who, like me, was F to M, I also have a sexual orientation, which is straight. Sorry, not LGBT. And an M to F is a person who was born male-bodied and has transitioned to female, and she could like women, and she would be a what?
Lesbian.
Lesbian, excellent. So next step is, what defines your gender? Okay. So he said what I was trying to fish out of somebody. So a lot of people identify their gender by their feet, by their anatomy, by their parts. Okay. So poor Renee has a horrible accident, just horrible, and he loses that penis in the accident. It's gone forever. Is he no longer male? Is it, and what is he?
It's up to him. It's up, yeah.
Exactly. So you see why we can't define gender by our body parts? And sometimes that helps people understand about transgender people, because a lot of people don't get it. And if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through, I may not get it either, because it's hard to wrap our heads around it. But try to imagine every day of your life, from when you were this high, and for me it was about 3 years old, knowing that I didn't fit the world the way everybody around me fit. That I was pushed by everybody in my life to do girl things, and to play with girls and be with girls and act like girls. When inside me, I knew that what I liked and who I identified with were the males around me. And then being told that that was wrong. And not because your parents are evil or their teachers are bad, it's because their job is to make you conform and to live a life that'll be easy for you by doing the road like everybody else does. So you grow up, and as you start to get older and you start to get pushed harder and you start to fight back a little bit, and you're told this is all wrong, you can't act that way, you can't talk that way, you can't play that way, what happens for kids is they internalize it. And it becomes, I'm bad, I'm evil, I'm defective, I'm stupid. You know, for me, that's all of those were my reality. It was like, I can't play with the girls right. You know, they want to do whatever they do with their dollies or whatever. And if it was like, to play with a doll, I don't know, take its arm off, or you cut it open, or something cool, right? And it's like, my sister didn't like me doing that with her little dolls. And especially for male and female people, for them wanting to do girl activities. Now in our society, because we're so patriarchal, okay, it's more okay for girls to do boy stuff. It's not okay for boys to do girl stuff, right? I mean, that's just horrible. So they really suffer as children and as adults, because if they are female, because their brains are female, and they want to do female things, and society and everyone around them is like, that's horrible. They get physically beaten as children for being who they are, basically. So, you know, there's two sides of the road. Huh?
Note the relative acceptance of women wearing pants and men wearing dresses.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I do a lot of college classes, and we talk about that. It's like, you know, if you go to school tomorrow, and you got like a suit and a tie, everyone's gonna be, you look so cool. That's so, you're awesome, right? And Sean just shows up in a mini skirt, and he's gonna get his ass kicked, basically. You know, he's gonna be laughed at. He's gonna be scorned. He's probably gonna get beaten up in a lot of places in our world. That's not okay. We can't have two standards, you know, for gender identity. And it goes all the way down the line from, you know, how much people get paid, male versus female, who gets the promotions at work, you know, who gets treated better. I've noticed it since, and I transitioned in 2003, and I've noticed that shift as I took testosterone and became more male looking, how I was treated so differently by everybody. And for me, when I first started, it was like, this is so cool. Finally, you know, I'm getting respected, and sir, they're calling me sir, and I'm getting perks, and people are helping me, and then all of a sudden a friend of mine said something to me, and I was like, you know, that's not okay. It's not okay to take that male privilege and to sponge it up, and it was fun. But, you know. But it's not okay, you know. And until you live through that, you've seen both sides of the fence, literally. It's amazing how huge that is.
Just going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You don't have to stand in line anymore.
Exactly.